Okay, everyone, welcome back. This is part two. I apologize, I had to kind of end the part one rather abruptly. I was interrupted here at school for some things that I couldn't delay. So we're going to continue where we left off. We pretty much understand how to do the gable peak at this point. We're going to work on roof planes once we fix this other side here. So we're going to repeat the steps that we kind of did at the end of part one. We're going to focus on our 6 foot wall height when it comes down to this specific area, and then this was the 9 and plus odd inches, I think like 2 1/4 inches. Okay, and then so once again we created 2 walls. We created one that was here with 2 different heights at the ends, and then we created another wall, the same 2 different heights at the ends, and then they connected, and then we have a gable peak. So we're going to do this to the other side, and this is the repeat. So at this point, as you can see, when I put my mouse over, I have 1 point, another point, and another point, because this is one half of the wall and this is the other. They're 2 separate walls with obviously their pairs of measurements we just discussed. So we're going to go and do the exact same thing over here. What I'm going to do is obviously delete this wall. We're going to go back to draw walls, and at this point, since you already have these 2, we should be able to snap to it. So even if it wasn't perfectly in the center, what we're going to do is just kind of drag and at least make it perfectly symmetrical. And then we'll draw the second wall. Pay attention to the snaps. You don't want to really have a crooked wall. So at this point, I haven't let go of my mouse button, but it looks good. So we should have something similar to the back side. Okay, so we have this and we have this. So at this point, let's take a look at our heights. If I click this corner, we're at 9 and 2 1/4. So let's copy this because we could use this measurement for the middle. And then we're going to take that measurement and just change it to 6 feet and press enter. As you can see, this is the blue areas are the ones that were affected, and we're going to do the same thing here. 6 feet. We're going to paste it. Oh, sorry, we already copied it. That was the other number. Sorry, we're going to do 6 feet, and we're going to press enter. Those are the 2 walls that were affected, and then we're just going to double check to make sure this point is at 9 2 1/4. Okay, so at this point we have all of our gable peaks established, as you can see. The next question is, how do we create a roof plane or a surface that has shingles on it? So let's go back to 2D. And this takes a little bit of fudging around and whatnot. Once again, this is not necessarily the most accurate, detailed program. This is a great program to get your ideas across. However, I probably wouldn't use this for construction. So some inaccuracies is not necessarily that big of a deal. So let's just go to draw surface. It's going to be an unnamed surface with no color at the moment. We'll go to settings later, and what we're going to do is we're just going to change this to roof once we make it. Okay, so we're going to just draw our normal surface. I'm going to try to draw it on the building because we can snap to things. And normally there's an overhang. We aren't going to talk about an overhang at this point. That would protect, let's say, the vertical wall surfaces from getting wet maybe when it's raining. But we're not going to worry about that at this point. So we're just going to draw our surface. I'm going to see if I can just click and drag to the various points to this point. And then if I click here, the corner will come up. Okay, so, and now I'm going to press escape because my mouse is attached. It's a little odd to create the surfaces here in this program, I found. But just like anything, it was probably odd learning how to ride a bike, and now it's probably not. So if I click on this roof surface, let's just look at it in 3D and see what by default it's, right? As you can see, it's on the floor, just like when we did the open below and we created an open area. This is no different. The only thing is it's in the wrong location, and we're not going to make it cut a hole in the floor anymore. Go back to 2D, and it's got 4 corners too. So we have the rise from floor. So we know that this point is 6 feet, and this is the 9 2 1/4. So I'm going to click on this one point here, and I believe I still have that number in my clipboard, so I should be able to paste it, press enter. Let's just see what one point did. Let's go to 3D. As you can see, that one point is kind of like right here. The other 3 points of that rectangle are still down at 0, and we're just going to raise them up. Okay, just to kind of graphically give you an idea of where we're going. the corner that's here is going to go up to here. The corner that's down here is going to go to here. And then this corner is going to go up to here, right? This one's already here. Once we have that, we will have a roof plane that matches the slope of the gable that we just created here. Okay, and then we'll kind of give it the visual texture of the shingles, and then we'll worry about, obviously, adding the proper rotation of the shingles probably in another video. So at this point, we're going to quickly go over to 2D. We're going to go to this one point here, and we're going to paste in that value. And then we're going to click on this point, and we know at this point, remember, it's 6 feet. And then we're going to click this last corner, and it is 6 feet. Not 6 inches. If you see it down really low and you know you've entered it, you probably did 6 inches instead of 6 feet. So now, at this point, if I go to 3D, you can see that I have a roof plane. We need one on this other side, and I actually have not rehearsed this, but I'm assuming that I should be able to flip this and duplicate it. So let's go to 2D, click on it, and now we have this duplicate button. So if I duplicate it, here's another one. Let's go back to 3D and look. Right? So we have our 2 roof planes. If I flip this, if I reflect it, I can then put it over here. So if we go to 2D, we have these handy buttons here. If I click this, it's now flipped the measurements where it needs to be. And if I zoom out, you can kind of see if we just had this over here, we'd be in good shape. So let's just click this, and I believe we can just drag and snap. Kinda. Now this wasn't a perfectly down the middle, perfectly symmetrical divided building as you can see. So we're just gonna, I hope, we can just drag this and it snaps, drag this and it snaps. This side is a little bit wider than this side. At this point, that's not that big of a deal. You could have paid more attention to dimensions when this becomes an official project where you're designing something. Right now, we are just learning how to do the basics. So if we go back to 3D at this point, our roof plane's done, right? And then we have a gabled shed. It's a 10-foot by 10-foot shed with a 9-foot peak with 6-foot walls. Maybe there's better dimensions out there for a shed. That's not the point of this video. This video is obviously intended to show you how to create an angled slope and gabled peaks. Just to reiterate, so you understand some of the basics that you need to remember is, once again, this is your gable peak, right? That is your gable. If you want to think of like Snoopy's doghouse, it's got 2, right? And then we have a slope, right? That's our roof plane, or downward slope. Okay, this is sloping downwards towards that edge where the gutter would be most likely. And then at this point, we're just going to add the shingles to it, and then we'll be all set. Okay, so we're just going to click back to 2D, click on our surfaces, and if you can see material, we'll just go to materials here and change this to outdoor materials, I believe. And then if we scroll down, we should be able to find some architectural shingles right here. So if I click on it, we have them. I don't know how to rotate the texture, but at this point, if you do this to the second one, you'll be all set. So hopefully this was informative, and if you need any other help, obviously seek me out in class.